What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Busy week last week. Another busy week to come on A to Z Sports as week one of NFL free agency is in the books. The Titans may be one of the more aggressive teams in free agency last week. We will revisit a conversation that we had last Monday. Now, Zach back on the show and discuss really off the top about Calvin Ridley and the clear reason the Titans targeted the former Jags wide receiver, now Titans wide receiver in free agency. So we'll get Zach's opinion on the Titans' first week of free agency. A lot of signings made overall, a few re-signings made to this team, and maybe what's to come later this week as well. We've got a ton of things to go through this morning and talk about Calvin Ridley and our expectations for the new Titans wide receiver, making a bunch of money, average of $23 million per year. And really hearing from Calvin Ridley, who had maybe one of the best free agent press conferences I've seen in some time. Then the age game to wrap up this Monday. So Zach, welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. A lot to get to this week. Busy week here yet again. What's going on?
Yeah, well, just for college basketball over the weekend, free agency settling in. Free agency's not over. You still got signings, right? You got a couple of different waves as you lead up to the draft. A lot to talk about. I did last Monday's show. I haven't had a chance to kind of react, so I'm excited to now analyze what all the Titans did and talk about that, discuss that with our chat, and get into a lot of good topics. I got a good age game that I think you should get this correct. Okay. I don't know if you will. You should get this correct. We'll find out at the end for our age game. A lot to jump into. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms in the form of Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out link by link our YouTube link, segment by segment on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports. Follow us there if you are a Titans fan. We've got great coverage from all of our reporters, whether it's graphics, whether it's free agency, whether it's articles. Keep it locked there on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports and follow us there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's 3 things that you can do on YouTube. It's the easiest, most efficient way to view this show. First and foremost, subscribe. If you are subscribed, we thank you. You are a part of, the subscription of YouTube that gives a ton of different content to Titans fans throughout the course of the year. If you've already subscribed, that means you need to like this particular show. So if you like this show, it helps get more community members into the chat, more opinions, more discussion. There's value there. If you've already subscribed as well, you need to hit the bell. Ring that bell. That means live alerts when we go live. It may be 8:05, maybe 8:01, maybe 8:09. Who knows? When we go live right around that 8 o'clock area, the same thing goes for primetime. You get notified so you don't miss. That's why we have kind of our introductions. You got time to come in here. So ring the bell and make sure you have your alerts on YouTube and Facebook. What's going on Facebookers, bottom left corner of your screen. Sharing out of public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. Share the show around. That needs to happen because we need to pop up in your Facebook friends newsfeed. So let's get this party started on a Monday. A lot to dive into with Calvin Ridley, aggressiveness, and an age game that everyone should get correct.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham here live on the show, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline at A to Z Sports. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com, to make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 locations across the mid-state in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They're online at KrebsKubota.com. Zach, I almost called you Zach Braff. You look like a Scrubs age Zach Braff today.
Okay, first and foremost, never, ever say that again. That dude is a straight-up loser. Now you got my blood flowing to start. That guy sucks. He's awful as an actor. Scrubs, the show overall, should be taken off the air. Scrubs is equal to 2.5 Men, which is not very good, but those are 2.5 Men is better than the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory and Scrubs are equal. Zach Braff is a loser. Please don't ever say that.
Well, I mean,
that dude
look,
could not grow a hair on his chin to save his life, and he's probably 54. There's your age game for me. So don't say that.
To be honest, he's 48, and you look like a young Zach Braff today. I mean, that's what you people in the chat are saying. Something's different.
Well, now I'm growing my beard out or shaving into a mustache after that.
Yeah.
Look, the comments. Look, I knew the comments. You hadn't seen me in a week. I shaved my beard. I used to have a beard down to here. I do look different. I've grown my hair out. We all know that. But don't ever say that. You don't want to name call, and that will get I can't stand that loser.
So here's the funny thing. I've never seen an episode of Scrubs. I just know him from him and his buddy Petey from Remember the Titans, from their commercials they do together. But you look like a young Zach Braff. So there's one thing that's going to piss you off. Another thing is that Corey Davis is back in the NFL out of retirement and is maybe trying to find another place to play that's closer to his home in Tennessee. I'm joking. I don't want to get you fully your blood pressure.
No, Austin, sorry, too bad. You went there. I'm here. Welcome to the show. And that's actually where I was going to start this show. We had this all planned out. Austin was going to set up. Look, we planned the show in our pre-conversation to say, Zach, what did you think about free agency? We're off the rails and we're 6:36 into this show because that's just where we are. So let's start with Mr. Busto Corey Davis, that all the chat and you yourself refused to call a bust for all these years after he was the number 5 overall draft pick in the National Football League. Number 5, bust. Then got overpaid $9+ million a year, wasn't worth 9 cents in New York for the Jets. Then decided, oh no, I don't want to play anymore. I got to take some time. Oh, what do you know? Knocking at the door. Corey Davis is back with his trashola route running and crossing route Corey. Here is my stance, and then we can move forward. Here is my stance on Corey Davis back to the Titans. For anybody that's not watching live on YouTube or Facebook or within our video stream, I'll give you a descriptive of what the screen looks like. It's a big old fat picture, Corey Davis running a crossing route in a Titans jersey with N-O, no. I'm out, can't do it, won't do it, I want winners.
Zach, I will share with you my opinion on the potential of Corey Davis returning to the Titans. I agree. No, you don't need Corey Davis at this point. I think that is very clear. So we can move on from that. So now, Zach, that you've got, the juices flowing.
Monday. Sure. Welcome to Monday. Monday. We started this thing off with a bang.
Curtis, I had no idea that Zach Braff triggered Zach Bingham the way that
there are a handful of things, right? 8th grade Latin teacher, Big Bang Theory, anybody that likes that trash, Scrubs, anytime, because they brought back a commercial with Zach Braff and his other buddy, Scrub buddy, and they kept playing that commercial over and over and over again.
Yes.
Makes me sick. Couple other things, mayonnaise. Will Levis, I'm fine with. The fact that guy eats mayonnaise, that's a travesty. That's gross. There are a couple things that trigger me. We've Corey Davis. There's another thing that triggers me. So
my goodness,
we're starting to line up on a Monday morning.
Yeah. So apologies to the audience for wasting about 5 minutes of their life by
that wasn't on me, bud. That was
just ignorance is Zach Braff, I guess. All right. So let's get into the reality of it. The Titans had a very, very busy week. They end the week by introducing Calvin Ridley to the Tennessee Titans media. We'll get to some of that video here in a second, Zach. But overall, on Calvin Ridley, I've had Thursday show and Friday show to talk about it. What did you think about the Titans swinging big and bringing in Calvin Ridley here to be the Titans' go-to deep threat wide receiver, score a bunch of touchdowns guy?
Well, I thought they were pretty aggressive, I would say myself. Now, we'll dive into how aggressive, But the last word spoken from me on this show before free agency, do you remember what I said?
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
All right, there you go. Old middle school gym right there. And they tore it up. I was very happy and very pleased with not only the plan they put in place, but the execution, right? Preparation meets opportunity meets let's spend those dollars. I thought they did a fabulous job. I thought they started off Tony Pollard. That was more of a surprise. And then now that it's settled in, Memphis guy moving back closer to home, need a 1-2 punch, have to replace Derrick Henry in different ways. And they're going to go about that with Tajay Spears and Pollard. Well, let's go give some help on the offensive line. I like what they did to sign a center, which, they hadn't had that stable center. They had an old 2020 COVID game yesterday on NFL Network. I was flipping through after basketball was done. Ravens, Titans in Baltimore, and Ben Jones got poked in the eye. And I was like, man, Ben Jones, I need that Ben Jones type that can stabilize things. Go get a corner. Well, check that box. They went and got a corner. They went and got a couple of offensive linemen. What else do they need? Well, let's help Will Levis throw the football and pass to said Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, I think, was a surprise to all of us because of the rumors, right? Jacksonville wanting to stay in Jacksonville, not wanting to go other teams rumored to be in the conversation. And then, what do you know, Ran the man was cooking up something and landed a big deal. And it's a big deal for the Titans, but also a big deal for Calvin Ridley. In the title of our show, Titans clearly target Calvin Ridley for one particular reason in NFL free agency. I would kind of combine, it's kind of a 2-for-1. 5 o'clock somewhere, Jimmy Buffett, the late, great Jimmy Buffett, 5 o'clock somewhere, this is a 2-for-1 because after listening to Calvin Ridley, I thought what they got was a good player and a good person. Now, you could sit there and say, oh, well, he's a gambling man. He's Kenny Rogers. What is he doing? But if you actually go back, a mistake was made. A mistake was admitted, right? Said it was the worst mistake of his life. I mean, that's a quote, unquote from Calvin Ridley when that gambling thing went down. And what do we know the NFL was going to do? We've seen Ray Rice. We've seen Colin Kaepernick. Example, right? We're going to make an example out of you. They made an example out of Calvin Ridley. Others have gotten caught for gambling. That's something that they've got to stay true at. But when you do something wrong, I believe in life, right? Right and wrong. When you do something right, you should be rewarded. When you do something wrong, you should be punished. He was punished. He got through his punishment, and he earned this contract. So good person, good player. I thought the Titans got that over the next several years. DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know how long he's going to be a Titan, right? He's got one more year left to go in his contract. Treylon Burks has been a disappointment, right? Let's call it like it is. And Kyle Phillips has been a disappointment. Let's call it like it is. They need to get some good, new, fresh blood with a fresh, new offense in Brian Callahan to help their fresh, new, future starting quarterback in Will Levis. So I was impressed. I was in New York last week for a media summit. And I was sitting there watching from afar, talking to the Titans. Look at the Titans. Very well done. I will close with a golf clap. That was a good week from the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, big week. And you mentioned good player, good person, Calvin Ridley. Again, one of the best free agency press conferences that I can remember. We'll get to some of that video about why he chose the Titans, what the problem was in Jacksonville, and more there. He also mentioned that he wanted to celebrate with some wings and mac and cheese. Well, I'll tell you where you can get both those things. That's Prince's Hot Chicken. Prince's original is the original Nashville Hot Chicken, and they are presenting our bracket challenge this week and this month. It is that time. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the chat. We are doing another bracket challenge on Run Your Poll. I will also send an email to everybody who did it last year after today's show to get you guys to sign up again. This time, this year, our bracket challenge is presented by Prince's Hot Chicken, Nashville's original chicken, at their Tanger Outlet Nashville location. Tanger Outlet Nashville is new. It's right there off of Cane Ridge, right there off of I-24, brand new. They've got your brands on sale every day. Nashville's newest shopping destination, up to 70% off of your favorite brands. And they also have Prince's Hot Chicken, Nashville's original hot chicken, bursting with heat and flavor. There's nothing better than the original. And this, you might as well call this the Calvin Ridley special, but it's also happening during March, during the tournament. 10 winglets with choice of heat, fries, and a fountain drink for just $17.50, located in Suite 102. So sign up for our bracket challenge. If you win the bracket challenge, you get a brand new TV. If you're the top local winner, you get gift cards to Prince's Hot Chicken and also the Tanger Outlets in Nashville. So check that out. Be like Calvin Ridley and Prince's, the original hot chicken in Nashville. So check that out. I just posted that link in the chat. It's also in the Facebook and the YouTube descriptions on Run Your Poll to join our bracket challenge. Zach, let's go ahead and get to Calvin Ridley on why he chose the Titans and the situation that happened with Jacksonville after one season.
I was traded from Atlanta, so there was like a little, third round or whatever. I had to wait till Wednesday, basically, and once Wednesday hit, that's when all the teams started, I guess, calling me and my agent calling my agent. So once we got past that and I've heard the teams, I really just broke it down to being more comfortable and what's gonna make me ball to the playing back to the level that Calvin Ridley should be at. And I chose here. I chose here. I just, like I said, I seen the plan, the vision. I broke it down with my family, and I said, hey, I ball anywhere. So let's go.
You brought up the idea of kind of wanting to stay in Jacksonville for a little bit. What ended up kind of falling apart in the last minute that led to the Titans?
Man, I'm a very honest person, so this interview is hard with me. I'm very honest. I'm a grown man. I like to be comfortable. I like to, some of the things that, you see on the internet or the games, you got to hear it from me. Let me explain to you why I dropped that pass, why it looks like this, and why I didn't play good here, which is not an excuse because I work hard, I put myself in those positions to do good every time, but yeah, just a little uncomfortable at times, and but, this team showed me they want me here for a while, and they told me already they're going to treat me like a grown man. And like you said, I know Nick. I'm excited to, talk to him as soon as I get out of this, go in the office and chop it up with him. But I just feel, I'm gonna be able to, be a grown man here. You know what I'm saying?
So there's Calvin Ridley on why he picked the Titans over the Jags, admitting he wanted to be back in Jacksonville, but something changed there in the last, 12 hours or so. On Wednesday, he mentioned the trade situation. If he signed before the league new year, the Jags would owe a second-round pick to the Falcons, but a third-round pick if he waited until Wednesday. So he waited and thought to go. If he didn't want to return to Jacksonville, if that wasn't in his mind, then he could have just signed earlier or agreed to terms earlier with any other team. But I feel like Calvin Ridley is a super honest guy, but comfort level is what led him here. And Nick Holtz, the new offensive coordinator, has his first big win to go in his cap because a lot of Titans fans doubted that as the most of any of Brian Callahan's hires.
Yeah. And, something happens, right? Everything happens behind the scenes with agents and talks and discussion and number of years and money and guaranteed money. So, it kind of felt like listening to that, he was holding back some sort of information, which is okay, right? You don't need to, explain everything. But I think the fact that the Titans wanted him, and I think, he said vision. I think that's really the only thing that you can sell here in Tennessee is what is the vision? Their pick, you got 15,000 plus 15,000 win the Super Bowl, right? Like they're not competing in that sense. But they're trying to flip the script, kind of like Houston did a season ago. They're trying to be competitive in the AFC South. They're then trying to be competitive, host playoff games, and try to compete with the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills and the Bengals year in and year out. And I think with Will Levis, I thought the biggest thing this offseason was national, and these players watch film, they watch highlights, like they know what happens in these games. Like Will Levis had some big time highlights in a Titans uniform or Oilers uniform, really, right out of the gate. He had his, ups and downs as a rookie would, but I think he showed to the league that, wow, this guy can play in this league. Now, consistency is key, right? You're only as good as the number of games that you win year in and year out. And he had bumpy roads, but grit, determination, leadership as a young player. And I think 4 years, Calvin Ridley sits there and says, what can I do in a Titans uniform in 4 years, getting paid an adequate amount of money, right? I mean, he's not going to be underpaid. Mm-hmm. And you sit there and he can build something. I think the Titans sold that, and he obviously bought.
Yeah, Bork says James Foster's film breakdown of Ridley got him excited. I mean, we all saw. We got that B-roll here if we want to talk about that during our next discussion. But Calvin Ridley, again, on what his expectations are of himself going into this year with a new team. You got something else?
Yeah, I do, because Roy brings up rejuvenated D-Hop's career. I think that's another caveat to this whole offseason. DeAndre Hopkins and, Cap, you remember when Cap lies, right? His support and backing of the Titans in a losing season, right? Mm-hmm. The city of Nashville, like DeAndre Hopkins hasn't played for a lot of winning teams, right? He played for Houston and Arizona and now the Titans, right? He hasn't been in a bunch of AFC championship games and Super Bowls, but he's been very good for a long period of time. I think that DeAndre Hopkins is well respected in the league as a wide receiver, wouldn't you say? Absolutely. Right? When he speaks, that means something. I think the way that he has spoken about his time in Nashville, and on top of all the change that has happened, Derrick Henry out, Ryan Tannehill out, Mike Vrabel out, new coaching staff, losing season, top draft picks, free agency, Nashville. I think that's where Roy, I agree with that comment. I think those things help too.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's get to Ridley on the expectations that he has on his career getting rejuvenated, just like Levis and D-Hop, but Calvin Ridley coming off the 1 year that he had in Jacksonville and how it can propel him into really the meat of his career in the NFL.
Jump-started your career again last year. How much do you feel like that's a sign of things that come in your careers maybe on the up?
Yeah, man, come on. I mean, like I said, it's my chance to really finally say some things. Like I sat out 2 seasons. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the best season for me personally. Like, I'm not proud of that at all. I wish I could just throw it away, but that's what I gave him, and that's what I had. 2 seasons out, I gave you 1,008 touchdowns. I mean, I didn't miss a practice. I didn't miss a game. I didn't come late to nothing. I respected everybody in the building. I look at it as a win for me personally when I have to think about it like that, because if I don't, I mean, I'm going to just think I'm a failure. And I did pretty decent with 2 years off. I did pretty decent. So I look at it as that. And from now on, I think I'm only going up because my work ethic is really good. I'm going to put the work in order to be good. And, yeah, I think I'm only going up from here. 2 years off. I got my 1 year behind me now. Now I'm ready to take off.
What does Calvin Ridley at his peak look like?
I'm not gonna get into it, but I'm a good player. I'm the type of player, who deserves this contract. I'm gonna say that. I'm the type of player who, you want in the building. Someone who's gonna work for your organization. Someone who, all their life as a kid, I rode city buses to high school just to go to school. 2 of them in the morning, and then I would ride 2 of them after school just to go back to my mom's house. And then I would get on another 2 buses to go to another high school to watch them, just to watch them, because I'm already. This is where I'm gonna play at next season. I'm done with. This is where I'm gonna play at. Then I'm riding 2 more buses, city buses, back home. I get home about 11 o'clock, and I got to get on another 2 city buses in the morning. And I'm only doing this for football reasons. So that's what type of player. Like, y'all got a player who gonna come and work for whatever y'all gave me, and y'all got a player.
So that's a lot of emotion, a lot of real from Calvin Ridley. As Assad did the math for us, 8 buses in a day. But
Okay,
look,
we weren't there. That's a lot of buses.
that's a lot of buses. I don't think, hand raised, I don't think I've ever been on a city bus. Not once. I've been on a university bus at Tennessee when I had a torn ACL and had to get to class somewhere, but I had never been on a city bus. And the fact that guy had to take 8 buses in a day, city buses in a day, just to be a teenager, it says a lot about the guy's character and look, owning the mistakes, but having the 2 years off, Zach, is interesting. And we'll talk about 29 feels like 25. We'll get into that later in the week. But I do think this is an interesting thing because he decided to not answer the question of what does Calvin Ridley at his peak look like? And I thought that was interesting that he was like, I'm not going to get into it. Let's get into that though, because Calvin Ridley, after missing basically 2 full years, not quite 2 full years, because he only played about 6 games in 2021, stepped away for mental health reasons. I also did some research. His home got broken into earlier in that season in 2021, which created a lot of the anxiety that happened there. Then misses the 2021 season, the rest of that 2021 season, had the gambling suspension during that time away from football and missed all of 2022. And he comes back in 23 with the Jags, played in all 17 games, 136 targets, 76 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And Calvin Ridley, I had this other stat pulled up too from previous. Ridley was one of just 10 receivers with 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns this past season. He's the 7th 1,000-yard receiver in franchise history for the Jags, and why the Jags won him back. But Zach, this brings up a big-time question of us: is that what are the Titans' expectations for Calvin Ridley? If you sit out for 1.8 seasons and you come back and you snap right back into things and have another 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, and only one of 10 guys to do that in the league, expectations should be pretty high.
No, they absolutely should be high. And I think they will. I think with that type of money, they are. And it's tough. He had a tough stretch, right? You would say a stretch. But the reason why he got the contract is for what he did after that tough stretch, right? Titans fans saw it last year, what Calvin Ridley could do, right?
Yes.
If you watch that Jags game, catching touchdowns, whoop, boom, catch, boom, 6. That's, I think, what he does very, very well. If you look at his time in Atlanta and his time in Jacksonville, is he catches touchdown passes. Austin, that's something that we saw DeAndre Hopkins do that more than we saw Corey Davis do that. A.J. Brown was good at catching touchdown passes.
Yep.
And then there's talk about gaps. There's a massive gap behind A.J. Brown of catching touchdown passes at the wide receiver position. Delaney Walker would catch touchdown passes. He was a tight end. This is new age football. This is the type of football Brian Callahan wants to play, has played in Cincinnati. Why they got to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, throwing to wide receivers in the end zone. So I'm excited. I think Calvin Ridley is excited about this opportunity to prove that the money that you gave me was deserved, is worth it. And now you got to go show out. You got to put up the numbers and help win football games and change games. That's what big time wide receivers, you're going to have the benefit of. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, that's 2 pretty damn good wide receivers. D-Hop can still play. I mean, he's not 26. We'll talk about that with Calvin Ridley. Neither is Calvin Ridley, but this is a pretty threatening 1-2 punch at wide receiver. The Titans, I mean, I don't know when they've had that.
Well, the Titans have not had 2 wide receivers on the roster who had 1,000-yard season the year before, since Derek Mason and Drew Bennett in 2004. Now,
I feel like that guy, the guy eating the chip.
You mean me from a year ago?
Oh, yeah. Coughing.
Yes.
Dude, half these kids don't even know who the hell Derek Mason is or Drew Bennett. Drew Bennett is a nobody in the scheme of like today's football. We know who Drew Bennett is. We saw him catch some big time passes in Titans history and was big for this franchise. But that was my point, is a long, long time ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago, the last time the Titans had two individual receivers going into the year who each had 1,000 yards receiving the previous season. All right, let's get to our question here. What are your expectations for Calvin Ridley in year one with the Titans? What are your year one expectations for Calvin Ridley with the Titans? But first, Krebs Kubota, big time expectations with them because they can take care of you. They are an elite Kubota dealer in Middle Tennessee with 3 locations. What makes them an elite Kubota dealer? The best equipment in the industry with the Kubota national brand. Also the best warranty you can find with any type of equipment. And Krebs Kubota strives and thrives with customer service. It's a family-owned and operated company. They started in Columbia. Over the 18 years that Krebs Kubota has been in business with that family business, they've been able to expand to add Columbia and Franklin. If you're a family-owned and operated company, you don't just succeed like this in a highly competitive industry like the equipment industry if you're not good at what you do and treat your people right. And that's exactly what they do. Having a relationship with your equipment provider is essential because things happen, things break, and you need to make sure that you know where you can go to and trust for the service and for that care, that personal touch that Krebs Kubota adds. 3 locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They are online at KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use that bonus code ATOZ Sports for new users. They've got great promotions as the madness is fixing to be upon us this week. We got through the conference tournament. You can win some games. Austin, I don't know, Saturday, sometimes I think about doing this. I never do. And maybe this is why I've struggled maybe of recent. Every underdog covered, I felt like on Saturday. +2, +2.5, +9.5, +11, +6.5. And you're like, damn, why did I just not take the plus money? It's tough. But BetMGM affords us the opportunity to make those decisions. Download the app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. They are the king of sportsbooks.
All right, tons of comments here asking you guys the question, what are your year one expectations for Calvin Ridley with the Titans? We also need more likes on the show. There are so many people watching the show that have yet to like it. So please hit that thumbs up button on Facebook and on YouTube. That goes a long way for us. And it's a pretty easy touch of a button for you guys. So hit that like button. Zach, I'll send you to the chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Year one expectations in Tennessee for Calvin Ridley are blank. What are they?
Somebody actually in the chat has my exact expectation. So I like this. We'll come back to that person. Buck's burner account, 1K, 5 touchdowns, TDs go up if they shore the lineup. And that could start with a top 10 pick in the draft. Side note, that's the other thing that I love about the Calvin Ridley signing is finally, now it's great. It would be fun to talk about neighbors. Hell, they may draft a wide receiver. Who knows what Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon are going to do. But it now puts them, I think, settling into what they've always needed to do, and that is address the offensive line and draft that premier tackle. I've said that. I will say that again until I'm blue in the effing face. Duran says 1K, 7 touchdowns, 1K, 12 TDs from Orlando, 10 touchdowns from Eric, 1K and 8 from Hello Ladies, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns because D-Hop will still be wide receiver 1. I think there's a dynamic there from IR that he brings up. Stephen King, 1,100 yards, 79 catches, 9 touchdowns, specific right there. 1,210 TDs from David. 1K yards is Major Keys. 75 catches, 1,250. 8 touchdowns from Jake. 10 touchdowns, 1,500 yards from Yinzi. You've got Danny at 1,000 plus, 10 plus touchdowns. Rooney, 8 touchdowns, 900 yards. 1,075 from Xavier. Ridley, 11K. I think he's trying to say 1,100, 8 touchdowns, 1,200 and 11 touchdowns from Devin, 10 and 1,200 from Ramon. 1,000 yards is the only floor that Sean Gill is setting. So a lot coming in. 900 yards, 7 touchdowns. Darius says 900 to 1K, 6 touchdowns. Eric, 1K, 8 touchdowns. Deborah's going 15 touchdowns. So a big number there. I'm going to go back up because I had, let's see. How would you pronounce this individual's first name?
Cristoforo.
Cristofero.
Cristoforo.
Cristofero.
No, Cristoforo. Chris.
Stop.
Chris.
Christoph. But it's not.
I was correct. I think. Well, he said correct first. So, Chris, CC.
CC. Hey, CC, my guy CC is right in line where I am. 1,100 yards, 9 TDs. I think if you look at his stat line, I think DeAndre Hopkins, I think Chig has got to step his game up, right? I think here's another X factor that we're not talking about. You now have 2 running backs that catch the football. Derrick Henry doesn't catch the football besides 75-yard screen passes, but they don't throw to him as often as I believe that there will be some check down Charlies in 2024. 1,100 yards, I think, sets the bar with his pay range. It's above what he did last year in 17 games, which is impressive. 8 touchdowns last year. His tops are almost 1,400 yards. He had 1,374 with Atlanta in 2020. He had 10 touchdowns in his first season in Atlanta in 2018. So I'm not trying to go career bests on all levels. Yeah. I think 1,100 yards because I think yards will be taken away from the offense. I think he's a touchdown catcher, at least at what we've seen. So I'm going to go 9 to equal his 2020 output, but below his 2018 output. I think that's a fair and good expectation. You hope he goes over it. You hope he doesn't go that far under it. CC and I are in agreement.
For the record, I was correct. Cristoforo. So welcome to the show, Cristoforo. It'll be Cristoforo.
Welcome to the show, Cristoforo.
There you go.
AKA CC.
So Calvin Ridley's career rate is to catch 9.2 touchdowns each 17-game stretch. That is putting in everything. Falcons years, the half year or 5 games in Atlanta in 21, and plus what he did in Jacksonville last season. I think the interesting thing about this, Zach, is I always steal this line from the Tighten Up podcast with A to Z Sports with Austin Huff and Jack Gentry. I remember years ago, Austin Huff said, receiving yards for the Titans are like the Canadian dollar. You have to do some type of exchange rate when you're looking at receiving yards for the Titans compared to others in the league. A.J. Brown getting 1,100 yards with the Titans in 2019, 2020 was basically like 1,400 yards anywhere else. And what do you see? A.J. gets 1,400 plus yards when he goes to Philadelphia and they're throwing the damn ball more often. Here's the thing I don't know. Is that exchange rate gone? Because Mike Vrabel's gone.
I do. I think it's gone.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here going like, all right, if Calvin Ridley is keeping his same pace of his last 2 full seasons, last year in Jacksonville and then 2020 in Atlanta, where in 2020, dude had 1,374 yards and 9 touchdowns in 15 games. So if he keeps those same 2 paces, he's at 1,200 yards and almost 10 touchdowns. And I'm sitting here going like, okay, Atlanta was Matt Ryan, Julio Jones throwing the football. They had Mohamed Sanu back in those days as well. Like they were throwing the ball a ton. Jacksonville throws the football a lot more than the Titans did. But I'm like, you know what? Throw it out the window because this is not the way we have to view Titans receiving yards anymore. And so I'm going to say, I think you're right on. I think you and Cristoforo are correct with 1,109. This is a rare situation where we are both aligned with our guy Cristoforo. 1,109 is the absolute correct place to be as far as statistical expectations for Calvin Ridley, because what does that mean for DeAndre Hopkins? What does that mean for, the other pass catchers? Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears combined for over 100 catches individually last year. So now you've got 2,000-yard receivers, 2 running backs who had 50 catches apiece last year, all coming together. Where's the football go? Right? I think that's the interesting thing. And you're not even putting
Good problem to have.
Yeah. And you're not even putting in the potential first or second round draft pick pass catcher. You're not even putting in Chig Okonkwo, who still, as underwhelming as Chig seems, into the year strong again, or Traylon Burks' potential emergence that, we'll see if it happens. And Kyle Phillips, if he cannot drop punts. There's a lot of other pieces to go in with this. I just think
Kyle Phillips shouldn't have the ability to drop punts.
That's an underrated storyline that I'm interested to see because of what Craig Ackerman was doing there with Kyle Phillips and the lack of coaching for catching punts. And it was an epidemic. The Titans punt returners dropping punts was an epidemic, regardless of who was back there under Craig Ackerman's watch. And we'll see if that changes. I don't know. But
here's one X factor that we got to talk about, and this is the straight sobering facts. We may be low on receiving yards, Austin, because the Titans may be down by 14 throwing the football quite a bit if they're not good. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but where they are, I think they got a lot better today than they were last Monday. And so I think that opportunity maybe goes down, but they may be playing from behind. And now you're getting, I don't want to say trash yardage, but the yardage doesn't hit the same when you're just trying to survive. That's going to be up to Will Levis. So that's kind of the negative, glass half empty. Here's the glass half full. Will Levis is a bomb thrower. He likes airing it out. He likes those big dogs to shine with his tat, right? On his
ruining every picture that you could possibly get of Will Levis throwing a football.
Buys and tries. Where's the vein, right? The main vein game right there, throwing deep and doing the strong arm competition. That gets yardage at singular clips. And we saw that more last year when Will Levis played than we saw since 2020 when Tannehill was throwing deep against the Oakland Raiders to A.J. Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be fascinating. So I want to get deeper into this because I don't know. I think there's a lot about Will Levis that you want to, like, what is this? Let's follow up with, we both think 1,109. What is the ceiling of Calvin Ridley? Because he declined to answer that question. What is the ceiling of Calvin Ridley? We'll get to that, but Zach, first tell us all about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your health plan. I signed up several years ago. I've kept my plan each and every single year. Why? Why do you say? Well, I switched because when I took my health assessment, they gave me a quote. I compared my quote to my other health plan. I said, no brainer. It saved me 20% per month, right? It was perfect for me and my family at the time and has continued to be. And the coverage was much better than my previous plan. Health, dental, and vision. No other plan has given me before free teeth cleanings and contact lens allowance. I've been wearing contact lenses since 7th grade when I couldn't see the board. Now I can see it. I can see clearly now that I have Farm Bureau health plans. And obviously my health plan, when you get sick, it gives you the best plan available, in my opinion, for you. And all you got to do is get a quote. You're not pressured to do it. Get a quote today. Visit Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans, FBHP.com/A to Z, over 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee as well.
You can always win big with BetMGM. It is March matchups time, which means you get to spin the wheel, Zach. So you go to your BetMGM app, sign up with code ATOZ Sports because you get it. Your first bet offer is up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses, but you're already a new or existing user. Go to your account, spin the March matchups wheel, and receive a 10 through 16 seeded team for the tournament. if that squad that you get on the spin the wheel makes it to the final 16, you win a share of $100,000 in bonus bets. The best part, it's free to play. March matchups, you spin the wheel. March is the most magical month of the year in college basketball, and BetMGM is your sportsbooks for every big tournament. So enjoy same-game parlays, signature bets, live bets, and much more with BetMGM in Tennessee. Make sure you spin the March matchups wheel before the tournament begins to see which college squad you're riding with. To get to the final 16, you'll split $100,000 in bonus bets with any other winners, only at BetMGM. BetMGM and Game Sense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are certain qualification eligible requirements. Rewards issued and eligible bonus bets that expire in 7 days. And for problem gamers, sport call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. That's a fun game. I'm going to spin the wheel after the show here. Ceiling for Calvin Ridley. Can the Titans get a 1,400-yard receiver? Like I think that's like can they break the barrier of a guy going for 1,400 yards?
Well, if he goes for 1,400 yards, now you're entering the top 5 wide receiver echelon for a season. So it's broken down pretty easily. The top guy is usually close to 2,000, right? We know that Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, that's where they kind of reside. Below that is about 1,600. 1,400 is your 5 mark. That's what A.J. Brown right around that they got last year. Top 10, which Calvin Ridley's now paid like a top 10 wide receiver. 9 and 10 is 1,200 yards, right around 1,200. We've picked 1,100 as kind of the expectations, which now kind of seeps into 13, 14, 12, right around that as far as ranking wide receivers based on yards. So I don't know. That is a huge feat, but we go back, Austin, and the X factor is this is a new offense that doesn't have Eddie George or Derrick Henry or Chris Johnson on the team.
Or DeMarco Murray. Right? Yeah, it's
sprinkle
been
of DeMarco. It was a great season for DeMarco.
He led the AFC in rushing that one year. It's such an interesting thing because we don't know how to compare it. Because if you look at the Bengals, Jamar Chase, in the year they went to the Super Bowl, so they were a very good team, right? They had 2 1,000-yard guys, and Jamar Chase was over 1,400, and he had 13 touchdowns. T. Higgins was right under 1,100 with 6 touchdowns. Then they had Tyler Boyd with 800. That's a lot of receiving yards for 3 guys, including a 1,400-plus yard guy. I think the only way that Calvin Ridley gets 1,400 yards, the Titans are probably picking in the top 10 again.
And somebody gets hurt.
Or I think, well, you have Mason Rudolph in there now who can sling it. That's something we haven't talked about yet because we haven't had time. But, you're throwing the football more. You're losing football games. You have to keep pace. You want to score touchdowns. Brian Callahan, another thing, wants to prove himself as a play caller.
Aren't those hot? But, and I'm not discrediting because I think conceptually, but those are like hollow stats, right? Like those, nobody's talking about, remember your 1,400-yard season when your team was, 4 in life. Like when you win that less of games, that is hollow in my opinion. I think the real goal, I do think it takes away. I do. Yeah. We're not talking about the very impressive thing about Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp and those seasons that they had to lead the NFL is their teams are winning. They're playoff teams, right? That's the impressive nature. So I actually think the more realistic feature, and not to talk about the 1,400 yards, because I think somebody's going to have to get hurt, and DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be there if Calvin Ridley's getting 1,400 yards, in my opinion. But I think the dynamic needs to be, if you can have that Corey Davis, I'm tired of talking about him, but 2020, right, when old boy could not achieve 1,000, couldn't get there, but A.J. Brown did. That's the type of season I think that the Titans are wanting to attain this year. And DeAndre Hopkins with 1,004 receiving yards and Calvin Ridley with 1,098, right? Like that's best case scenario, I think, in my opinion.
I know, but that again, that year you're talking about where Corey Davis dropped 2 passes in the last game of the regular season against the Houston Texans that would have gotten the other 16 yards he needed to get over 1,000. Plus, him and AJ each missed multiple games that year. They each missed 2, so they did that on 14 games played. That was the same year that Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards. So like, that's the outlier in that, is that the Titans still had one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL and were almost around the 2,000-yard guys. And so I just feel like this is a super early March 18th jinx. I think it's going to be really difficult for Ridley and Hopkins to each not have 1,000 yards this year. I think both guys over 1,000 is what is going to happen. That's almost like the expectation on a pretty low bar. That's like the floor, because the volume passing that's going to happen, the difference in those two guys and their skill sets with Levis. And I just think that's where you're looking at, is those two guys to each surpass 1,000 yards, because that's their pedigree. And that's what this offense needs them to have. They need these two guys to carry them into the end zone, because we're going to have to find out how the Titans score points without Derrick Henry scoring 13 touchdowns a season.
Well, they also got 2 running backs, right? I mean, you can't, like, they were Tajay Spears. We were okay with them going as Tajay Spears running back number 1, right? A week ago, that was, oh man, the Titans, I think he showed us well enough that he can be that featured back. Well, knocking on the door is Tony P, and Tony P's coming in here getting paid and trying to run the rock and trying to be what he was 2 seasons ago with the Dallas Cowboys that essentially kicked Ezekiel Elliott out of Big D. So, like, you have that factor of, we just don't know the offense yet. I mean, we can go and look, but with these players, I really like what they have. The offensive line, I don't like yet, but there's still time. And
yeah, I know it's Joe Burrow, and it's the season they went to the Super Bowl. But Joe Burrow had the worst, if not a bottom 3 offensive line in the NFL that year in 2021. Dude threw for 4,800 yards. That's 1,000 yards more than what we are used to Titans quarterbacks throwing for. And
that's up to Will Levis. Can Will Levis throw for 4,000 yards?
Which is still 800 yards less than what Joe Burrow did. And then you've got Ridley, you've got D-Hops, you've got the now you're building weapons around them, and you've got the coach that saw that and was a part of orchestrating that 4,800 yard season to happen behind a bad offensive line. Look, it's fascinating, and
I'm tired. And the chat is tired about saying with a bad offensive line. I'm dead tired of it. I don't want, fix it. Like, sexy's all over the place. No, you need some people that can get in front of guys and prevent them from breaking Will Levis, right? That needs to be the priority. They still have time. I'm not saying it's not, but damn it, Austin, if they draft a wide receiver at 7, I'm going to flip.
Nah, I can't wait for that, because look, we got shows to discuss.
That's so stupid. That is so dumb if they do that. It makes me think of Zach Braff just thinking about that.
Oh my God, you've had some really bad moments
today. Today's been tough. You know, it's been tough thinking about that offensive line. I will say, I really though ran with it last week.
All right, let's get to some super chats here as well. But first, Farm Bureau, wrong click. Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
Don't fumble. Don't fumble on the recovery now. Recover, don't fumble.
That's right. Whenever an injury happens in life, the Bone and Joint Institute is who you can rely on to make sure that you get back to performance and back to living that life that you deserve, and not just nursing an injury nonstop. If you've got an old ailing injury that just simply won't go away, go check out our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute. If maybe your son or daughter has a youth sports injury, they can also help you out there. boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
A to Z Sports powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports, ATOZSPORTS. Use that bonus code, and new users up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. For new users, you got to have that bonus code, though, ATOZ Sports. Download the BetMGM app today.
All right, so some super chats to get to. We've got Kane coming in and says, blown mind, is this O-line set up to reach those numbers for the wide receivers? Look, I just kind of went through the Bengals situation, and we know this offensive line needs to get better. I thought Zach Lloyd Cushenberry, a fantastic signing. That's a bigger offensive line, a center signing than I expected the Titans to make in free agency. But the offensive line is now, priority number one to see how it comes into shape after two signings on the O-line in the first week of free agency. Lloyd Cushenberry, the best available center, and Sadiq Charles, a Lloyd Cushenberry college teammate at LSU, who is a very talented guy, a highly athletic guy that just hasn't had it put together yet in the NFL after 4 years in Washington.
I think, I was thinking about the offensive line in general. So you've got Brunskill and NPF. Like those two guys, they have got to elevate. And then Raden's guy, we'll talk about Raden, he's got to be better. He's got to be – but Brunskill and NPF, if they improve with the overall offensive line improving, I think that's where you're going to have a much, much better results on those fronts, right? Yeah. Like those are my two X factors. Whoever they draft, they are going to draft an offensive line. I don't know when. I hope I know when, but that's going to help. But really, I think it's the play of those because Skoronski, first-round pick, he showed us enough that he can improve. I like the trajectory there. They just fixed the center, which is a huge thing for a young quarterback. I like what they did there. NPF and Brunskill. What's going to happen?
I think there's four players on the right side of the offensive line that are battling for two spots: right guard, right tackle. Sadiq Charles, Daniel Brunskill, Dylan Radens, Nicholas Petit-Frere. I think two of those four are going to be your right guard, right tackle, and you might need all four of them to rotate in throughout the year. So there's Kane's super chat there. I did see Eric bring up, is Burks getting traded to the Jets? I don't know if there's reports or rumors or anything going out there. I haven't seen anything about Treylon Burks getting traded. I don't think he's got trade value at all. If Justin Fields goes for a 6th-round pick that might be a 4th, which is probably not going to be a 4th, then Treylon Burks is getting a bag of baseball bats, and the Titans don't play baseball. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah, because he was still under contract when he retired, right?
This is Burks, not Davis. Same guy, right? No, I mean, you wish.
Hi, my name is. Hi, my
Zach
name.
Braff.
Right? It's the Spider-Man me.
You wish. No. Time out. You wish Treylon Burks could become Corey Davis at this point. At this point, Corey Davis, a year 3 for Treylon Burks, it looks like Corey Davis's, better years would be a complete 180 turnaround for Treylon Burks. But that's how bad it's been for Burks, is that Corey Davis is now the ceiling.
I think here's the hard part for Treylon Burks. Again, you think about being optimistic and say, well, now he can be that deep threat, run deep, go catch the football like he was in Arkansas, and he's not going to be noticed as much because you got to target Ridley and D-Hop and all these other players. But I think that the fact of the matter is going to be, I think he's just going to get lost. Like, he's not even going to be that target because look at who's Cincinnati. Best case scenario, who's Cincinnati's 3rd target, right?
Tyler Boyd.
Right? Tyler Boyd. I mean, we know about Tyler Boyd because of that offense. Can Burks put out any sort of output like Tyler Boyd? God, I don't know.
They're just different players.
They are with different skill sets. You're right.
Yeah, for sure. Last super chat here. Kick it to the King says, thoughts on Vrabel to Cleveland. Initial reactions from their fan base is that Vrabel is one of the best defensive minds in the NFL. What crazy. Look, Vrabel's a very smart defensive-minded guy. The Titans defense was only a problem under Mike Vrabel in 2020 when Mike Vrabel was trying to do way too much. And Shane Bowen was not the coordinator. Vrabel was the coordinator, but Bowen was calling the plays, and they didn't have a good setup of distribution of responsibility, and that's Vrabel's fault. But outside of that, Mike Vrabel's defenses were very good. This to me screams like Jim Schwartz scratching Mike Vrabel's back after Mike Vrabel scratched Jim Schwartz's back a couple years ago.
And being in position where Mike Vrabel gets to live where he wants to live. He doesn't have to move to LA. He doesn't have to move to Wisconsin. It's a lifestyle. Mike Vrabel is a multi-millionaire. When you get to that point, and coaches work for different reasons, but like you start making some business decisions. Are both of his kids out of high school?
Yeah, they've been out of high school for a while.
Right. Empty nest. Go live where you want to live and still work while collecting the check. You just have a different strategy. And I think Mike Vrabel, the dude, let's do this quick. Mike Vrabel career earnings. Give me a guess.
$33 million.
Career earnings. Man, Spo, he played such a long time ago. I don't think Spo has it. Damn. Spo don't know.
Somebody's got it, though.
Spo don't know. Dang. That is disheartening that we can't play that game.
Somebody's got it.
What did you guess?
I said 33.
I actually think that's a pretty good guess, but no, Spo don't know. Bom, 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 bom. Yeah. Spo don't know.
Nobody.
You can look it up. Now you're free game. Now we're just trying to get the answer.
Nobody's got it. Apparently, according to somebody, that he signed a 5-year, $50 million contract with the Titans as a head coach. We don't know that, but he was making a lot of money. Brandon super chat at the bell. The Burks problem is the sting of losing AJ Brown and Burks not living up to first round hype. If it wasn't for AJ, the Burks sting wouldn't be so bad. Yep. It's the whole reason the sting's there.
I definitely think it impacts it, but Brandon, let's be honest. He's a first-round wide receiver pick. What he's not been able to do as a first-round wide receiver pick, when we've seen the likes of, Justin Jefferson explode. Like, we've just seen too many hits at that position because it's more abundant and the game has changed. I take A.J. Brown out of it. Treylon Burks is a major disappointment. He's Kendall Wright. Major disappointment.
Yeah.
And Kendall Wright at least had 1,000 yards. And Burks, the trajectory is he ain't sniffing that.
All right, so Mike Vrabel signed a 5-year, $16.4 million extension with New England in 2005, which means he'd already been in New England for 4 seasons to that point. So that then a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Chiefs in 2010, his last year. So that's roughly 20 million.
20, yeah,
20,
not 20.
And then he had a rookie contract as a third rounder in the late 90s. That's probably 2. So I would say around 25, a little over $25 million for Mike Vrabel on the football field.
There's the payoff. There's Spo. We know, but Spo don't know.
I had to put it together. All right, Zach, it is now time for the age game here on the show. Age game. But first, let me tell you guys about Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon. Say hey to our friend Payne Bone there while you're there. Save money on your new ride by seeing Wilson County Hyundai at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Zach, I have the chat hidden for the age game. So it is now time for the age game to wrap up every Monday. You said we should get this one right. Are you trying to give us a layup here?
Not a layup. Now, this particular person made a lot of layups, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. So what just happened yesterday? It's bracketology. We finally know our bracket, and make sure that you go to our link, participate in our bracket, go to Princess Hot Chicken, view the games, enjoy. Princess Hot Chicken's good. So that made me think, what is the thing that I think about when I think of NCAA tournament bracket? And it's one shining moment of one particular play. How old is Christian Laettner? How old is Christian Laettner? Christian Laettner knowingly hit the shot against Kentucky, ran around, didn't really become a great NBA basketball player with the T-Wolves, but he has that iconic shot for the Duke Blue Devils that everybody will always remember. How old is Christian Laettner? And this is why I say, I'm not going to say it's a layup, but it's a 16-foot jump shot you shouldn't miss because you can kind of piece it together. The chat is going to have to be quick but not hurry. Yeah. That's the key. So how old is Christian Laettner?
This is tough because we're early into a year, right? We're barely through quarter one. So I don't know who's had a birthday this year and who hasn't. Okay, I think if my memory serves me correct, the shot was in the tournament of 1993, which is 31 years ago. Christian Laettner played in an age where you played all 4 years at your university / institution. So my guess is that he was around 22 years old at the time of hitting that shot. Great pass from Grant Hill. My guess is that Christian Laettner $53 years old.
53 years old. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Final A to Z. Okay. 53 years old. Let's go to the chat and find out what the chat has to say. Let's scroll back up. We're going to be fair. See who was quick but didn't hurry. Corey hurried a little too much. He's not 57. That's a little too old. 63 is wrong. Jake, 41. And 65 from Stephen King. Too old. Too old from Lucas. 32. Too young. Big Ten Jeff, 64. Hey, this is ACC, bud. He didn't know it, right? Maybe if it was a Big Ten player, how old's Greg Oden? Maybe Big Ten Jeff would have got
Greg Oden.
Jody.
Oden is 75.
Jody, 50, wrong. 69 by Eric, very nice, but wrong. IR does not even know who Christian Laettner is, so he concedes. Orlando, 46, wrong. Luman, 60, wrong. American Tough, 62, wrong. Austin, you said what age?
53.
53. You did everything right. But you were 1 year off. Mark D. 54 is the correct answer. 54 years old. And for Mark D, put Mark D up on the board. Titans Kyle, John Kavanaugh, and now Mark Big Time D coming in with our leaderboard of the age game. Congratulations to Mark D. You win 54 right on the dot. This is a couple of times you've been one off. And one day, you know what? I always ask you if it's finalized at Z. I thought you were going to change and get it right.
54 is my next. Because I was like, Christian Laettner feels like an older senior, you know?
Yeah.
And you know
54.
what? And that wasn't my mistake. I was 1 year off from the year that he hit the shot. It was in 92. I said 93. That's my problem. That's my year.
You got to have the data, right?
He was 22 years old. 22 years old when he hit the shot. I was right there. I did that math correct. I was wrong on where I started. 92 year. Man.
Well, congratulations to Mark D, one of our champions on the leaderboard. Put it on the board. Yes.
Yes. All right, that'll do it for us. Make sure you hit that like button, please. It goes a long way for us if you're watching on Facebook and or YouTube. The like button helps us out. Way more people are watching right now who have not hit the like button than have. So please hit that like button on the way out the door. A lot of great Titans content to come this week. Also, I dropped it in the YouTube description, in the Facebook description. Sign up for our bracket challenge presented by Princess Hot Chicken at Tanger Outlets Nashville. That link is right there. To sign up for that, you have up until Thursday morning to get that done. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Tuesday. Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll catch you later on. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.